Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome back to the Guardians. This is the beta, patch 2.2 for Elite Dangerous, and I've arrived back in the Solar System. I haven't been here since Horizons launch, that's back last year, and as this update comes with a whole load of changes for the Solar System, it's way past time to come and have a look here again. Now this is Mercury. I've been here before in a previous video but wanted to show it again for those of you that haven't had a chance to see it. Erlich City is the name of this place, and it's one of the largest settlements you can get in the game. Around the other side of the planet is one of the new features I was talking about that have been added into the game. These are tourist beacons. This one situated quite firmly onto the surface of the planet. What you do is scan these and you get a little bit of backstory, a little bit of lore, and they make for quite a nice reason to go out and actually explore. However, this one here I couldn't scan from the ship, and as I didn't have an SRV fitted, I was unable to do anything with it. Now this is Venus, the second planet from the Sun, and perhaps one of the most beautiful planets in the game. There are a few around like this with this type of atmosphere, but they are absolutely gorgeous. When the sun strikes the atmosphere in just the right way, it will light up green in addition to the yellow here. Now, due to the nature of the content in the Solar System and elsewhere within the galaxy now, there will be elements in this video that some of you may consider spoilers, the sort of things that you may want to come and see and read for yourselves. So do be forewarned before you go any further that some of it you may not want to see. So these are some more of these satellites, some more of the visitor beacons that I was talking about. This one talks about a particular scandal. And just look at Venus there in the background. Like I say, a very nice looking planet. So I scanned it, you get a little message here, and I'm going to read this out to you. In 2866, Gellon lost his midterm vote of confidence, and the extent of his corruption and corporate links were brought to the light shortly thereafterwards, bringing down a number of congressmen too, and exposing a seedy subculture of corporate entertainment and abuse of federal power on a massive scale. No one on the corporate side was ever prosecuted, but a period of scrutiny followed, and most corporations wisely backed off interference with federal politics for several years. Earth then, third rock from the Sun, home of humanity and neighbour to Venus. There are a number of beacons surrounding this planet, and this one is ancient history. Mankind's first ventures into space were tentative and gradual. The early part of the 21st century saw the first manned space flights beyond the moon. But it took major population and economic problems to stimulate enough commercial commitment to start settlements beyond Earth. The Third World War saw exploration expenditure dragged back again, and it wasn't until the end of the 21st century that colonies on Mars and the Moon became truly permanent and viable. After the war, the dominant power was the United States of the Americas, and as the remaining other countries joined it over the next few decades, it was renamed the Federation of the United States, and later the Federation, as the implied reference to one of the pre-war powers, was a block to the remaining countries joining it. It had a constitution and laws derived from earlier powers, but much simplified. Here is the capital of the Federation, Mars, terraformed, and as you can see from the city lights there, it is heavily populated. Now there are a whole load of these beacons out here in the Solar System, so if you do want to come check them out, do have a look, because I'm only reading through a few of these here. In 2280, the first non-human relic was found in space. The object was found buried on Mars. It was no bigger than a child's hand, and is still surrounded in secrecy, even in 3300. No information has ever been circulated as to the properties of this item or its origin, other than to say it is non-human. Moving on to Ariel then. This is the first moon of the planet Uranus, and it is steeped with extremely deep chasms, and there's a particular reason I'm coming here. I stopped off at another station, picked myself up a Type 9, as this is the only ship currently within the Solar System that's able to carry a fighter, and yep, you guessed it, I wanted to deploy the fighter out here on the surface of the planet and fly through these chasms. It's also going to be interesting to see how the NPC pilot manages to keep up and handle the Type 9 down on a planetary surface. So these fighters are indeed very fast. A few people have pointed out that they don't feel they're all that fast, because after all, some modified ships do get up to 600 and in some cases even near or around about 8,000. But with a boost of 300 and with the agility of these fighters, they are fast enough, very agile indeed. And they are therefore a lot of fun to fly around on planetary surfaces just like this. Ariel is perhaps one of the best planets that you can actually come to try this sort of thing out. This is by no means the deepest canyon here. There are some of them way deeper than this, and if I fly along a lot further along this chasm, they will get a lot deeper and a lot narrower and probably get quite dangerous. But I trust myself to fly along here. These ships can more than handle it. And here, heading back to my Type 9 just to keep an eye on it, as I soon outpaced it, wanted to see just how well the NPC pilot was handling it. As I close in on him here and start strafing around the ship, you can see that he is pulling a no mean feat, a fantastic manoeuvre in a Type 9 to try and keep in formation with me. If any of you have ever flown a Type 9 over a planetary surface, you'll realise that manoeuvring like that is not that simple, even with a low gravity, and more than once it looks like he's going to clip the rocks there, but he never actually does it, always managing to keep perfectly clear. And although he can't keep pace with me, he does a wonderful job of handling the ship without causing any damage. These fighters are going to afford the pilots a lot of additional opportunities way beyond just pure combative purposes. On the Distant Worlds expedition, and in fact in many other expeditions all the way since, many people have always taken SRVs with them. SRVs are a great method for exploring over the surface of planets, but they're also fantastic for races. Now, although with the fighters you're limited to a 30-kilometer range from your mothership, they are still going to be great for racing, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of that. I was actually fairly strapped for time on this occasion, so didn't spend anywhere near as long as I would have liked out here, so it was time to get back to my ship and dock. But there you can see the only problem we did have, and that he did collide with one of the mountains. But nonetheless, he did position himself, allowing me to dock into the back of the ship here. And when we get on board, we can see the extent of the damage. But I'm not going to hold a grudge, especially considering the circumstances here and how well he performed earlier. So, if you were wondering whether or not you can use fighters down on planetary surfaces, now you know. There have been a whole load of other planets and moons added to the solar system, and I'm going to come back in part 2 of this video to have a look at that. But before I get to doing that, there's one other thing I want to have a look at, and we're going to hop over to Jacques' base in order to do so. Here I am then in what's now called Colonia, and there have been a number of outposts installed out here. This region of space is rapidly growing. There is meant to be a starport out here as well, but when I went to that system I couldn't find the station. But nonetheless, the outposts do actually exist, and just as with the military and civilian infrastructures, Frontier have placed these outposts quite strategically, very close to an Earth-like world here, and another one I found very close to an ammonia world. So what does this mean for us? Well, Jacques Station is still not giving out missions yet, but fortunately these outposts now are offering missions, and you can see there's a few right here. Fairly well paid, but nothing too substantial. But where the money really stands is in the passenger lounge. Now, passengers don't want to be ferried around Colonia here. They all seem to want to be ferried back to the original bubble, and because of that, the missions have quite substantial sums to them. And if you take on 4 or 5 of these missions, you will find yourself making 100 million in a single run, albeit that the run will probably take you quite a few days. This mission here particularly pleased me. They wanted to go see an epic mountain range. This is the sort of thing I really wanted to see, and there's also a few missions around here for the NPCs wanting to go and see ring systems up close and personal. Now, the net result here is that if you're the type of player that likes exploring and sightseeing, you are going to get to see some wonderful sights along with the passengers here. Not only do you get to take them to those sites, but you get to see these locations that you quite probably would never find yourself. So a nice change out here in Colonia then, and that brings us to the end of this video. I'll be back later on with part 2 of the touring of the solar system. For now, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.